here doing this stuff.
I'm resigning for that.
Okay, I'd like to, are we ready? Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'm ready.
Simcoe's all excited about these millions.
Okay. That's right, Neil's not coming. Okay.
We ready?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Sylvania Township Trustees, December 19th at 5 p.m.
We'll call the roll. Mr. Crandall.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney's absent this evening. Mr. Genowine.
Here.
Simcoe, here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the December 5th meeting minutes.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, call the roll. Mr. Crandall.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. So we'll do the Chief's proclamation now?
Yeah.
All right. Chief, whereas Chief Robert Bomey will officially retire on December 31st, 2017, after 36 years of outstanding and meritorious service to the residents of Sylvania Township, and whereas Chief Bomey began his public safety career with the Township on August 31st, 1981. As a result of diligence and hard work, he advanced through the ranks, being promoted to Sergeant in 1987, Captain in 1998, Deputy Chief in 2007, and finally to his most important position, Sylvania Township Police Chief on April 8, 2011. Whereas Chief Bomey has worked tirelessly to understand the needs of the community and how the department could best meet those needs, and whereas through Chief Bomey's strong leadership, the Sylvania Township Police Department has expanded its services to the residents of Sylvania Township. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, Sylvania Township Board of Trustees, take this opportunity to express our sincere and grateful appreciation to Chief Robert Bomey and hereby extend our congratulations on his well-earned retirement. Thank you very much, Chief. Congratulations, Chief. Good luck. Best wishes.
Best wishes, Chief.
Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
I have none.
Okay. Hearing of the public on agenda items only, we have none. So that would bring up the zoning department.
Good evening. I'll be brief. It's just the monthly report for November for zoning. My permits were relatively the same compared to last year's as far as number of permits. Estimated dollar value is down 21.6%. Year to date, we remain up with a 14% increase on number of permits and an 82.5% increase on estimated value of zoning permits. On the next page, single-family dwelling permits. We're still running behind from last year. We've got 84 permits year to date, or through the end of November. That's 11.8% down, and about the same percentage up in estimated value at $27.12 million. And the approximate estimated value per dwelling remains well above last year at $322,000 versus $260,000 a year ago, and that represents a 23.7% increase. On the next page, zoning complaints. about even with last year, pretty much even with the last couple of years. Year to date, we're really close to last year as well at 237 complaints versus 231 last year. The monthly meetings for the zoning department, the BZA had 2 cases, and the zoning commission had 2 zone change cases, the one on Elmer Drive and the one on Silica Road that the Board of Trustees approved, both of them last month, or earlier this month, I'm sorry. And then there's just a few little items of note there. If you have any questions on those, I can answer them, or anything else in the zoning department.
That's good.
Looks good, Darrell.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darrell. Rob?
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen. Monthly report for November. The focus for November was obviously leaf pickup, started October 16th. As of date through November, we'd have completed 5 passes. We're currently on our final pass. About 20% of the township yet is due for their final pass. We should complete it this week. We did have a hiring process in November for a vacant utility worker position. We had 39 applicants, 3 candidates were interviewed and tested for that position. We have narrowed it down to 1, and it will be on the agenda as well tonight. We did lose an engine in one of our dump trucks during leaf pickup. It was determined for the cost of the engine and the need to have it in service instead of replacing the vehicle itself. We spent the money and purchased a new engine for it and replaced it, so kudos to Gary and his department for getting that in so quickly. We will push the date of that service for that truck back to 2021. It was due for 2019 replacement. 4 of the 5 Ford Explorers that were in the shop for fitting for the police department have been turned over to them and put in service. Number 25 is the last one, and we anticipate that to be done by the end of the year. Page 2. Project list, as noted last month, all the projects are complete, and you'll see in the next budget reference a lot of that monies that was being held back, it looked like we weren't spending, will be coming through on those projects. Most of the payments are coming due. That's all I have for the monthly report. If you have any questions.
Looks good.
I have a resolution 17152. I'm asking for authorization to hire conditional offer of hire for a utility worker. His name's Jason Howard, as stated a minute ago. He was the ideal candidate. Excuse me?
So it's Kevin Howard.
Oh, I'm sorry. It says Jason Howard?
Kevin.
Oh, I made a typo there. It is Jason Howard. Kevin Howard is an employee of ours.
Okay.
So we'll have 2 Howards, but if I can correct that, it is Jason Howard. They are not related, no relation. I'm asking for a hire date of January 3rd to bring him on as soon as possible to get the routes secured, to get him trained up on our plow routes.
I'll offer Resolution 17-152, authorization to hire a utility worker.
Second, before we vote, so this is a replacement?
This is a replacement. This is not an additional employee. It does not increase the road department's status.
Thank you.
Call the roll, Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Resolution number 17153. This is a joint cooperation agreement between Sylvania Township and the Lucas County for the OPWC 2018 OPWC project. This is a standard joint cooperation agreement. It's just a little late this year. It's for next year's project, which is Fair Hills, Quarry Woods, McCord Road Improvement Project.
Is Fair Hills off of Flanders?
Fair Hills is the Farmington area. It's Gulf Creek, DeVilbiss Court area. That's called the Fair Hills subdivision.
I'll offer Resolution 17-153, joint cooperation agreement with Lucas County for 2018 OPWC project.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Thank you. That's just the exhibit. Final resolution, 17-154. This is approval for Lucas County Solid Waste Management District, amendment to the draft solid waste management plan. By law, the Lucas County Solid Waste District needs to review and update their plan summary, and 60% of the voting entities need to approve it. Considering we are a large portion of that 60%, we typically would review it and approve or make comments on it, and then offer the resolution to the Lucas County Commissioners for approval. There is a second page, I believe. There might be a summary there. You want to look at that. These were also in your mailboxes. The only note to change besides detailed specifics, there really is none for the plan that affects the residents of Sylvania Township. They'll still have an additional $5 charge on their property taxes, and that is not an increase. That has stayed the same as it was in the last plan.
I'll move Resolution 17-154, approve the Lucas County Solid Waste Management District's amended plan.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
The last item I have, I don't know if you can expand that out, Sam, or not, but there was a public hearing November 14th for the 10 Mile Creek Drainage Improvement Project. It was fairly well attended by residents of the township and also business owners that do business within the township or have businesses along that area. This project, just to give you a quick summary and update of what the meeting was about, this starts about 650 feet west of Her Road, and it goes about 1,400 feet south of Sylvania Avenue for a total distance of 1.6 miles. And currently, the 10 Mile Creek Drainage Project includes the construction of an embankment mound along the south side of the creek. If you want to slide to the next one. Go down. Right up in here, this is Prairie Ditch right here, and this is the 10 Mile Creek improvement. And there should be some easement lines in there. And this area here is an embankment improvements. This is the far west edge of the construction site. So you can see, I believe it is Her Road that runs up and down the north and south road right there. So it's just 650 feet south of there. This also includes potential improvements for the University Parks Trail Extension Phase 1, which is, if we want to keep sliding, we can go through. If there's any questions or comments you want to make on the slides, you can see that there's still some easements that need to, and right-of-ways that need to be acquired yet. And in order to meet the environmental requirements for several endangered bat species, they propose to begin the negotiations for the right-of-ways this December, and this should allow them to start tree removal this spring of 2018. So some of those dotted lines are still property acquisitions that they're working through right now. If you want to go to the next slide. And you can see this area here, there's a bridge. There will not be widening the bridge or extending the bridge out. This is Central Truck and Parts off of Central Avenue. That kind of area looks familiar there. If you go to the next slide, Sam. And this continues down through, and now we're starting to get into the silica would be down in this area down here. If you want to go to the next slide. And I believe this is where the Parks Trail would come in. This is Centennial Road, right in here. As you can see in this area here, this is the proposed trail. This is phase 1 of where the trail would end, right here, Centennial Road. Any questions on that? Go to the next slide. So continuing on, working our way towards Sylvania Avenue. Go ahead and keep going. There's just... And one more. Oh, here we go. This is Silica Road would be down here. This is Silica Road runs between Centennial and Sylvania. Just trying to orientate you. This is the station where Lucas County owns the property down here, and this is where the proposed phase would start for the proposed bike path with the extension of it. You can't see it because it's not part of this actual project, but Lucas County and the King Road landfill had already prepped that area to extend the bike trail through the landfill area and the property they own to get to the other side of Silica Road. I don't know if that, you can clearly see that picture, but at some point we could put an aerial view of the whole bike path, because I think a lot of people are interested in that part of the project. So I think that's the last slide, Sam. At this time, they anticipate the construction will be completed by the end of 2019. So it's a $1.7 million project is the current estimate of that. They have not raised that estimated cost of construction, and at least this year they haven't. Some of that money is broken down from different organizations as well. I have not been given the breakdown. I did request the breakdown for that. So as soon as I have it, I'll pass that along. Whether that money, how much of that's coming out of stormwater utility versus some of the trails, the rails money and stuff like that, that's also being put in for that bike path. Any questions on that?
No,
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. As you can see, the first slide, if we can keep that there for a second, Sonny. You'll see that on your paperwork, but the picture on the left, the pot on the left is, we started a Christmas tree on fire, and that was 16 seconds into the fire. And looking at the one on the right is 1 minute and 23 seconds into the fire. So again, that was part, I believe, 3 years ago of our fire festival that we have, and that was a huge point of emphasis was the Christmas tree fire, and with the season that we're in, we wanted to reproduce that, so we actually put this on our webpage to remind people of to be very, very careful with real Christmas trees. My report's kind of short. We had a good month. Page 2, again, the overlapping calls actually went up a little bit. Last month was in the 42. This month was 45. I did ask for a couple more reports run out of our new system. One of them is average for all calls. Our average response time is 5 minutes and 15 seconds to all calls in the township and the city. We did have 429 incidents. As you see, the pie chart on page 4 kind of breaks it out like we've been doing the last couple months with the pie chart showing you the breakdown on it. We did have a few more automatic aids given. Springfield was a little bit busier than us as far as fires in the month of November, which that's okay, they can have them over there. The community risk reduction, Chief Freilich's been working with some of the assisted living buildings in the area. Again, the state's starting to mandate that they have some tabletop and some disaster drills. We did one at the Lakes of Sylvania this past month that went really well. We were able to send Chief, that's on the next one. We were able to attend the Champions Luncheon at Timberstone, all three of us chiefs, and we sent a couple of the crews out there to have lunch with the kids. That always goes over real well, and actually the guys really do enjoy going to that one. We did complete 86 fire safety inspections, the crews did, and that's on top of what Chief Freilich and firefighter Hillard did. As far as the training bureau, we did not have Lucas County EMS. However, we were able to get quite a bit of training done, actually a total of almost 800 hours. We had our biannual officers meeting where we bring in all 12 officers and we go over where we're at, where we want to go to, and this was part of, after talking to Mr. Crandall, this is part of where I get my plan for the next year is, we really sit down with those guys and we want to hear what's going on. We're not in the engine houses every day, so they are, and we're able to get some things cleared up. All of our newer employees were able to get down to Lucas County and do the rescue CPR pump. I think, Mr. Gentleman, you were at one of those trainings with the new pump, so everyone on the department now has been updated on that. The other thing in the training, we were able to, I was able to secure a grant, a training grant, and we were able to send Chief Nye to Fire Officer 3 for free, so that was a little coup on our part to be able to send him on that. November overtime actually was only a total of 99.75 hours, but remember we didn't have Lucas County EMS CE for the month of November, so. And the last two pages are just actually a couple of thank yous from a couple of the groups. One was from Oakleaf, and the other one was a young man that thanked us very much for his new bike that he won, because remember in the Fire Safety Festival, they have to do a fire escape plan, and he was one of the young guys that actually did a great job and was given a bicycle, and he thanked us for it, so that's all I have. All right. Good, thanks. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Good evening. You have before you the monthly report for November. And moving to page 2, you'll see the number of calls into our dispatch center. Those calls do total almost 7,000 calls, 6,882 calls, primarily into the police line, the 882-2055. Page 3, our calls for service. You'll see through almost the end of the year now, through 11 of the 12 months, is down, but very, very slightly. You'll see our citations are down, but our citations are down because our property damage and injury accidents are also down. In fact, the property damage accidents are down considerably, which is very good news. Moving on to our offense reports, probably the best thing on there is, we're not on the right page. Here we are. You'll see that thus far, we've only experienced 44 burglaries in Sylvania Township. Last year to date, we had almost twice that, 79. So that's very good. Robberies are slightly up, but thankfully they're very infrequent, and so the numbers get skewed very easily, very quickly. Domestic violence and assaults continue to be up. Again, those are crimes that even proactive, aggressive policing can't really prevent for the most part. You'll see our identity thefts are down considerably, less than half. Our OVIs are down a little bit. And then for whatever reason, I don't know, with the national news, maybe it's a sign of the times, our sex crimes and our CSB reports, that's Children's Services Board reports, are both up considerably. I mean, like we had nothing last year. Thefts are down a good amount, and then overall, all the other type offenses, which can be anything from vandalism, criminal damage, to you name it, we are up up quite a bit. Page 4, prisoner transport cost analysis. You can see we continue to fare pretty well on that, assisting the city. We do make a lot of transports for the city, but usually we have transports that we have to make anyway, so we're not really incurring overtime. We've only incurred, you see the number there, about $500, a little over $500 for specifically tied to having to do the cities when we had none. On page 6, you'll see our detective caseload stats, and there were 49 cases assigned to the detectives in the month of November, of which they have already cleared 25, just over 50%, leaving 24 active. They cleared 21 previous cases down toward the bottom of the page for a total cleared of 46 cases. Page 7, you'll see that our DEA, our detective assigned to the DEA task force, continues to be very busy working a number of cases, and we haven't gotten any real large amounts of money in the last couple of months, but the cases he's working on probably will result in considerable forfeitures in the future. Page 8, our community affairs activities. Probably the biggest note there is in November, Officer Krychek and Officer Snow they completed their training and had their graduations at Central Trail, Whiteford, and Hillview. And then Stranahan is always conducted in the spring because there's just too many kids, too many classes for the 2 officers, so we split them up that way, and it seems to work better for Stranahan doing it in the spring. Speed trailer, starting to get cold, starting to get snowy, so we won't be using that quite as much, but we did get that out a couple of different places, namely Regents Park. I talked to a gentleman down there at the corner of Regents Park and Wellstone, and we've had officers sitting down there too, watching the stop signs and such. Page 9, the forfeitures. Again, I said there wasn't a whole lot. In the month of November, you'll see for the DEA detective, we're talking about, what is that, about $5,500, a little over $5,500 in seizures there, and then you can read the other amounts that we ended up with. And then the court fines down below, page 9. Page 10, our overtime. Again, as is the case with most months, the 247 hours may look like a lot. The 93 hours of detectives, probably all but about 10 to 15 of those hours is task force members, the FBI fugitive task force, and the DEA task force, and those hours are all reimbursed 100% by the federal government. So we don't incur any costs with those. Detective overtime, just our detectives, is very, very, very little. And then I also will note that during the months of November and December with the holidays, the dispatch and patrol, they don't get holidays off and such, so that overtime tends to be up just a little bit. And that's all I have for my monthly report, if you have any questions or anything.
Ann, do we have anything?
Nothing.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Well, I have one other thing that's kind of important. I have a resolution, 17-155, authorization to hire 1 police officer. This officer his name is Curtis Myers. We did interviews. We interviewed five people about 2 weeks ago, and this was our number 1 choice, and this is a replacement for an officer that we lost in 2016, if you remember. And, well, I'll ask for approval of that, and then I'll see some...
How many applicants did you have, Chief?
Well, we were down to actually our 4th band according to the test scores, okay? And total who passed the test, we had, I want to say like 58 or what. It's getting tougher and tougher. In fact, When I was at that meeting yesterday with all the chiefs, the U.S. Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, was in town, and I was at that meeting, and actually recruitment of officers was discussed too, because it's getting more and more difficult to recruit good people because of the times and the way things are. The Ferguson effect, he actually specifically brought that up. And that one thing I wanted to point out to you is I talked to Mr. Zeitler, and I will tell you that out of the 5 people we interviewed, we had 3 really strong people, really good people. We took number 1, number 2, and number 3 were also very good. And Mr. Zeitler's suggestion, you may or may not be aware, I've pointed it out before, we're going to be losing probably as many as 6 officers to retirement, or, well, 5 or 6 to retirement, and then 1 has actually been accepted into the JAG program in the Air Force. Pretty proud of him. He just graduated number 1 in his class at the University of Toledo Law School. We lose him potentially as early as May 21st. We definitely lose another officer on June 30th, actually June 29th. I just talked to him today. I have got written documentation of his intended retirement date, and I've got the Air Force acceptance letter for the other officer. So what I'm throwing out there, I'll be gone, but I am suggesting that before we lose these other 2 candidates, you may want to consider hiring 1 or both of them, because we lose those 2 officers in the spring. It's usually minimum 3.5 months, and sometimes a little bit longer, before going through our FTO training and such, before they're ready to roll. If you don't move forward on them, maybe in January or February or such, you may lose them to another department. And as I said, we're already down in our test scores, in our bands, and also that test does expire in June of 2018.
When you say 5, is that, what time frame is that?
The 5 that we'll lose or so, a number of them are at the end of the year too. But
Within a year, do you think?
Yeah, we're going to lose 5 or 6 within a year, is what my understanding is. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just had the resolution, I got off on a tangent, but.
I'll offer Resolution 17-155, authorized to hire 1 police officer.
Second.
Mr. Crandall? Yes. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks again, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Good luck. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Do you have anything for the administrator? I have nothing. Okay, with that, Mr. Simco?
Just briefly, we've got our month-end numbers for November, and you can see in our revenue, we're doing well, and we'll creep up maybe a little bit more in fire because of the EMS contract that'll come in, but looks kind of similar to really 2016 when you look at it. We're pretty close on our revenue estimates in what we do, although we rely on the auditor on these things. And on our expenditures, I think we're doing very well there too. Road will probably pop up a little bit because of the weather that we've been experiencing in this, next month, and that. But I just think our expenditures look really good too. The only thing is we'll have a 3-month payroll in December, so that'll bump up, our expenditures a little bit. But I think we're right within budget where we want to be. A little bit higher on revenue and a little bit lower on expenditures. I don't think I'd like to be. And so, if you don't have any questions, I'll get into resolutions, and I have 3. Resolution 17-156 is transfer of funds, and it's really interest that we get that we are required to transfer to the general fund from the various funds that have levies supporting them.
I'll move resolution.
We do this every year, and it's a yearly thing.
I'll move resolution 17-156, transfer of funds for interest to the various departments.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And the next resolution is 17-157 to reduce appropriations. And I think this is our one where, here we go. revenue estimates were not met, so we're having to move a little bit of money here. It's not much, but it's some of these resolutions that we're having are year-end kind of cleanup resolutions.
I'll offer Resolution 17-157, reduce appropriation in accounts.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And lastly, Resolution 17-156, and we needed some additional appropriations due to unexpected expenditures. You see the very small amounts, but to keep our accounts in balance, we have to do these little ones at the end again.
I'll offer Resolution 17-158, appropriations from unencumbered balances.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
I have a couple things under open discussion.
Yes.
Just to let you know that Township Hall will be closed on December 25th and 26th for the holidays, and January 1st and 2nd. Our next meeting will be January 9th, Tuesday, January 9th, and that's called the organizational meeting, and that will be where we elect the chairman and set the meeting dates for 2018. So our next meeting will be January 9th.
Do we do the appointments that night, or?
Well, that's,
20?
yeah, but that's not, that will be on the agenda.
Oh, that will,
But this is actually called the organization.
yep, I got you. Well, we do the
Yeah,
appointments.
I mean, there'll be a full agenda.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And that's all I have.
And when do we do the organizations? That's the 23rd, isn't it?
The organizational
Second
meeting?
meetings? No, the meeting where we do the funds. That's not the first meeting?
No, that'll probably be
23rd.
whenever you set the dates for the
Yep,
meeting.
okay.
Okay, non-agenda items, Mr. Crosby,
Yes.
you're up. Please, sir.
I was interested in getting the board's opinion of what you're going to look for in the future as far as accessibility of the public record documentation available online on the web. Currently, the programming that you use seems to be dated and is only accessible by one particular browser to hear the audio and to see any of the documentation associated with public meetings. So I didn't know what you had in mind to improve this, to improve the access, so that it can be viewed on multiple web browsers and formats.
Do we answer that?
Yes, please.
Okay. We are actually, the township, switching over to a company called iCompass, and that will be going into effect probably live in February. And once it goes live, you'll be able to access everything on your tablet, your cell phone, Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever you use.
All the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. So,
Sounds fabulous. So there's already a project that's continuing on, and you already have a target live date.
yes.
Good stuff to know.
Yes.
So it should be the beginning of February. If all goes smooth.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I would like to offer a motion at 6:40 to go into executive session.
5:40.
5:40, I'm sorry. For employment in the police department and collective bargaining Teamsters.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. All right, I would like to offer a motion to come out of executive session at 5:56.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. I'd like to offer Resolution 17-159, approve amending Article 18 of the collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Trustees and Teamsters Local 20.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. I'd like to offer a motion to adjourn at 5:58.
Second.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes. Off to a Christmas.